Joining me now, Democratic Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey. He's also the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. And, I think the big question here, Senator Menendez, is we heard it's pretty clear coming from the administration, no U.S. combat boots on the ground. So then the question becomes, if the U.S. continues and maybe amps up its military aid to moderate rebels, are these moderate Syrian rebels going to be in a position strong enough to really take on ISIS?
Well, I think we're going to have to hear the strategy as it unfolds, but I get a sense of where we're headed. Air strikes, drone strikes. In the Iraq context, having Iraqi forces and Kurdish Peshmerga forces be able to follow on the ground and take advantage of those strikes. And then in Syria, and I presume we are going to hear about airstrikes in Syria, because if you want to destroy ISIS, you're going to have to go after them in Syria as well, that strengthening the moderate vetted rebels in a robust way, which hasn't happened sufficiently enough, can be an opportunity for them on the ground to take advantage of the airstrikes that will be coming from U.S. and other forces.
You think that's going to be enough? I mean, you've said that you see a plan coming together. That would be airstrikes coming from the U.S. and its allies. You think that's enough, coupled with some aid to moderate rebels, to really turn the tide against ISIS?
Well, we're going to have to listen to the military planners and advisors and hear what it takes to destroy ISIS. And we have to be open-minded about what it takes. If we think, as I do, that ISIS is a savage terrorist organization which we have to defeat before they have the operational capacity to perform a September 11th-like tragedy, then we have to be willing to take various options to ultimately achieve our goal. And that has to be dictated by what the military leadership tells us will be necessary to achieve that goal. Now, the prevailing belief is that that can be done by a combination of air, drone strikes, and the use of other forces from these countries in the region, both in Iraq and Syria. That remains to be seen.
Will Congress vote on this, Senator?
Well, right now I'm comfortable with the actions the president is taking as it relates to his strikes to protect U.S. personnel at our embassies and forces that remain in Iraq. But if this is going to be a prolonged fight against ISIS, it seems to me that there is no way to avoid coming to the Congress for an authorization for the use of military force, which comes before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Now, we're not there yet. Part of considering such an authorization will depend upon the strategy that the president outlines. That will start tomorrow with congressional leadership, Wednesday when he speaks to the country. Next week, we have a hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and then we'll be able to move forward based upon what we hear.
But we expect this to be something other than just a few months of work to try to push ISIS back. It seems that the expectations are being put out there by the White House, by the president, that this is something that will take years. So the expectation there would be that Congress would need to have more than a consultant role here, that Congress would have to have a vote on this. But do you think the American people would support something that could take that much time?
Well, I think you have to make the case to the American people of why ISIS is a threat to the United States of America, why it's a threat to our national security both here at home and our interests abroad. And when you make that case to the American people, then I think even though there may be weariness about this reality, as we commemorate the 13th anniversary of September 11th, we are reminded of what happens when, in fact, we don't stop terrorist organizations like this. You know, the terrorists have to only get lucky once. We have to do it right 100% of the time. That's a tough challenge, and that's something we have to remind the nation.
Do you think that the president, that the nation, that Congress should be open to American combat boots on the ground?
I think we have to listen to what the military advisors, the people who understand how to defeat a terrorist group like ISIS, will need. And I don't think we should preempt what they have to say. We have to listen to that, make our judgments based upon what they say, and then the Congress will act accordingly based upon what the administration is asking for. You know, we've never had an authorization for the use of military force that a president has not asked for. By the same token, it is unlikely that the administration, in my view, would not come to the Congress if we're talking about a long-term engagement. That means laying out the case to the American people. It also means clearly defining the strategy as to how we achieve the goal of defeating ISIS.
All right, Senator Menendez, thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank
you
you
joining us.